guys. Welcome back to CGC discussion series. Um, Last time we talked a little bit about the whole PlayStation not being what they used to be, or how they've kind of transformed themselves into this bastardized version of what a lot of people fell in love with them for. Um, and to be fair, I want to swing back around to the other two companies and kind of focus on them and what I think they are doing right and or doing wrong and what I think they're gonna do. And then I kind of touched on some of this stuff in my prediction videos, but I don't think I would be doing the channel justice if I didn't reiterate some of these points. I'm gonna try to make this one not as long as that one, but you know, we'll see what happens. At any rate, let's get into it, man. I'm seeing today that there's a report that Microsoft is apparently easing back off, and I say that with quotations, on the idea of porting their games to PlayStation because Xbox players took it the wrong way or they didn't like it, something of that nature. I'm no industry insider like I guess the person who posted this news or made this claim, but I'm gonna call BS on that. At the end of the day, Microsoft is ran by people who largely don't even give a damn about video games, more or less the opinions of video game nerds. You know, uh, there's a reason why, and I'm not gonna shout out names because and it's not about running away from beef, but I'm not the kind of channel where I try to make people look bad or anything. But there's a reason why you got certain Xbots. Um, and it's funny, I think all of them were on the same channel at one point. It's weirdly enough that are like switching sides now on pro PlayStation and all this other goofy ass nonsense. It's like these are people who, man, I really hate to say this, but they probably have some kind of mental illness. I want to be real with you. Uh, Video games are toys, right? Largely, it's a toy, right? This is something that's really built for kids. The problem is like the generation I'm a part of, which is like Generation X and all the generations under that, we kind of latch on to our toys, right? Like whereas other generations kind of like, oh, I'm too old for that stuff, I'm gonna let it go, and they got into drugs and alcohol and stuff like that. Uh, our generation, yeah, we did some of that stuff too, but we also like to retain things that we enjoyed when we were younger, and the result of that, unfortunately, sometimes is these man child dudes and chicks even who they take personal offense to stuff that's happening with something that's essentially in the grand scheme of life, especially at that age, it's not that important. And taking offense to it is like, bro, you're a consumer. All you do is buy this stuff, right? You aren't as important as you think you are. You're important as far as do they want to satisfy you with the products they deliver to you? Absolutely. But beyond that, there's no like this idea that they have to keep it loyal to you. Why would any company in their right mind say, yeah, we're not going to sell our product everywhere because it might make the people who buy the product upset. Realistically, the people who buy the product will be happy to buy that product wherever you put it. And that's what Microsoft understands, right? And you got these weird ass Xbox or ex Xbox fanboys, God, say that 5 times fast, who have a problem with that. And it's like, you guys are the very problem Microsoft had in the first place, because when Microsoft was absolutely doing some of the worst things it could have been doing, you guys were bigging up Microsoft like, oh yeah, this is fine. And then they call dudes like me, who, mind you, I do spend the majority of my time playing my Xbox because, I mean, why the hell would I want to play PlayStation games I've already platinumed, or games that are very similar to something I just finished on there again right now? I'll eventually get to finishing God of War Ragnarok. I'll eventually get to starting Horizon Forbidden West, but like, Jesus Christ, man, I've literally just platinumed like Ghost of Tsushima or First Horizon. Like, what makes you think I'm instantly, like, a single player game for me, and let me explain myself, is like a chore almost. Like, playing something that's multiplayer, that's kind of chill. I get on, do it, leave. A single player game, I gotta check the stats. I gotta monitor this. I gotta monitor that. It's kind of a chore. It's like, for me, being in the mood to play those, and this is just my personal opinion, is just like being in the mood to read a particular book. Do I read books? Absolutely. Do I read them all the time? Absolutely not. Right? Single player games are cool, but I'll be the first one to tell you, one, I'm casual. Two, I don't want to play that shit all the time. Right? Because a lot of them are way too long. They don't get to the point, and really aren't that good. Now, I ain't gonna lie to you. God of War Ragnarok, I'm not feeling it the way I was feeling God of War 2018. You know, I believe Horizon Zero Dawn Forbidden West is pretty good. I'll probably start that one sometime over the holidays. But like, what I played is the Ragnarok is like, I can finish this whenever. Right? I don't get the same feeling I get with Witcher 3. I don't get the same feeling I got with the original, well, the 2018 God of War. I don't get the feeling I got with fucking Dead Island 2 even. I platinum that game. I 100% that game on Xbox, platinum it on PlayStation. Like, that game was fun. That game was worth me beating twice. To me, that was a fun gameplay loop. This wasn't it for me. Like, it wasn't it. And again, maybe I need to reconvene on it and form a better opinion. But it's just like, it wasn't gripping me the same way the first one was. At any rate, I hovered over that one too long. But like, Xbox's biggest problem, the dudes that are abandoning it, and they're grifters. I don't give a shit what they say. They're absolutely grifters. The dudes that are abandoning it were always grifters. And the reason they're abandoning it is because you attach yourself way too much to something that never really belonged to you. You own an Xbox. You don't own Xbox. You own an Xbox. You don't have stock in Microsoft. Right? You are taking way too much of what happens with a company that you have no fucking control over whatsoever personally. That's weird. You need to go get help. Mental help. I'm not gonna make jokes about you like Frit and Alex do, because they relish in that shit, and you know, I'm not gonna approve or disapprove. I'm not big on picking on people with mental health issues, because this is what this is. This is a sickness, right? The council fanboy shit is a sickness. These motherfuckers are 40-year-old grown ass men fighting each other over toys, doxing their fucking medical patients over toys. You know, sexually harassing female developers over toys. Comparing exclusivity of games to slavery. This is over toys. Think about that. Why would you listen to any of these fucking idiots? If you ever liked anything these motherfuckers have posted, you need to reconsider yourself. These are sick, stupid ass people. Right? I'm just gonna call it what it is. And I haven't mentioned any names, but you know, somebody come in and pop up with a problem with it. Hey, motherfucker, hit dog on holler. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm just gonna be real with you, man. Like, Microsoft has never won a generation. This idea, this red herring that it's gonna happen now. They've never won a game of generation. They've never outsold Sony when it comes to consoles. As a matter of fact, Sony's done things in the console space that Nintendo hasn't done. And you got goofballs on both sides of this equation, right? They thought that Call of Duty was gonna shift things for Microsoft. It's like, no, it just made Microsoft the biggest third-party publisher in the world. You buy two of the biggest third-party publishers in the world, you're going to be the biggest third-party publisher in the world. That's what they are. This rumor that now Microsoft is thinking about not putting games on PlayStation. If that Indiana Jones sells 2 million copies on PlayStation 3 to 4 months after it came out on PC and Xbox, I guarantee you there will be more ports. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty much just waiting for that Starfield hammer to drop. And don't be surprised, like I always tell you guys, like how the news shifts and ebbs and flows and the ups and downs of the PlayStation, Xbox news. One moment is good for one, and one moment is bad for the other. And how not to get too invested in that because I actually care about some of you guys' mental health. Well, don't be surprised if at the Game Awards, the Keighleys, don't be surprised if it's revealed, yes, Starfield's coming to PlayStation. I'm expecting that. And good on Microsoft and good on the PlayStation players who just don't want to buy an Xbox or don't have a PC, who want to play the newest Bethesda game. You'll get to do it. That's great. That's fine. I have no problem with that. I don't care. The game should be everywhere. Everybody should have an opportunity to play it. It's a good game if you like that kind of game. It hasn't been my cup of tea, but if you like Bethesda games, you know, the shipbuilding, the base building, the stuff that pretty much have iterated on since was it something Heart update on Skyrim, and then they really expanded on it in Fallout 4. If you like that kind of stuff, that Fallout 4 shooting, better movement mechanics, space combat. If you like that combination of things, and it'll be really hilarious when all of that shit talking that happened about Starfield. Oh, it's a terrible game and blah blah blah. When it launches on PlayStation, if Microsoft decides to say, let's make the PlayStation Pro version have these extra features because it's got a little bit more juice. Watch how many of these fucking weirdos all of a sudden, we got the better version of your game and it's great on PlayStation Pro. It's like, is Sony paying you 1 cent to dick ride and sell the PlayStation 5 Pro? I doubt it. You're just a weird ass consumer, bro. That's all you are. You're just weird and you're playing sides. It's like, so there's something about tribalism when your only investment in it is that you're a fan of whatever you're being tribal about, that annoys me to no end. I've literally watched football fans die because they were arguing with other football fans. I just don't think that that's worth your life. I don't think that's worth your mental your mental health. You don't play for the football team. You don't own the football team. You're just a fan. And you sitting here getting punched in the head, getting a concussion and damn near dying or getting shot even over something that happened in the game that you didn't play. And mind you, luckily nothing like that, at least to my knowledge, has spilled out into the gaming scene. But we look just as stupid as a collective. We look just as stupid doing that stuff. Microsoft's going to continue to put games on other platforms because they want to make money off of other platforms. It only makes sense. And Sony's eventually going to have to do it too. Don't let anybody lie to you and say, oh no, Sony's never do that. Yeah, they're already doing it. They're putting the game on the Switch, for God's sakes. You cannot be serious. They're putting the game on the Switch. Launching day and date with the PlayStation version. If that don't tell you what you need to know, I don't know what does. There's a rumor that Helldivers, well, not rumor, but there's a conversation about Helldivers coming to Xbox. I don't see that. I don't see how that could hurt it. At some point, Sony is going to have to admit that Microsoft releasing big games into their ecosystem, possibly at the same time that they release some of their games, is disrupting sales. I can't imagine Sony would see it being a safe uh, move to launch a new Horizon game. So like, and it's funny about the Horizon series, right? The Horizon series is famously gets screwed over by Zelda every time it launches, right? Like Zelda will come out right at or around the same time, and it ruins it. It happened with one, and it happened with two, I believe. Like it was a big deal, and then Zelda said, "No, I'm a big deal," and that was it. That was the discussion. I can't imagine, like, say Horizon 3, and I don't know this to be a fact. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure it's not. But say Horizon 3 comes out in what do they usually launch? February of 2026 or something like that, right? And Microsoft says, "Oh yeah, we're launching a new Perfect Dark in February of 2026 on PlayStation and Xbox." Now, is Perfect Dark going to outsell Horizons? I seriously doubt it. Is Perfect Dark going to make if Perfect Dark ends up being a good game? Because again, there are human beings who are tribalist idiots who work at news publications, websites, stuff like that, that will purposely rate a game low if it's an Xbox game, but then purposely rate a game high if it's the PlayStation version of an Xbox game. I recall IGN or one of these stupid ass publications even making a big deal about how the fences shadows were rendered on Hi-Fi Rush on the PlayStation version in comparison to the Xbox version, as if that wasn't the dumbest shit ever. Back to my example though. Imagine if Perfect Dark comes out the same day or the same week as Horizon Zero Dawn 3 in 2026 or something like that, right? Again, pulling a year out of our back pocket because we don't know any stuff to be true. And because it's a PlayStation game, oh, they're fair with it. Let's just treat it like it's, you know, any other PlayStation game and judge it on its own merit. Oh, it's actually a decent game. Let's give it an 8.5 because it's still published by Xbox. And we don't like Xbox, so we can't get them a 9 or a 10. And they give Horizon Zero Dawn a 9.5. But Horizon Zero Dawn is a single player game, and Perfect Dark comes out and has a multiplayer component. What do you think is gonna happen? Hmm? What do you think is gonna happen? You think Horizon Zero Dawn is gonna just bust out the gate and sell 10 million units on PlayStation? It might. I'd be completely wrong. But what if Perfect Dark is really good and word of mouth gets out that it's really good and it comes out on PlayStation and that cuts half the sales or even outsells, God forbid, Horizon Zero Dawn 3? This is the scenario that could happen. Microsoft's biggest challenge right now is, oh, they might not make as much money as Sony does off Call of Duty because, math exists and 30 it was 70%, but I believe Dustin Legarius come out and said it was 80%. Microsoft makes 80% off every Call of Duty sale. So the idiots at that fucking website who said, oh, Microsoft's gonna make less money than Sony does off Call of Duty is mathematically impossible, and you're fucking morons for even publishing that. Okay? The fact that you publish that shows me that you not only have no integrity, but you're complete idiots. Because only a moron would look at that and know the math behind it and say, oh, yeah, they're right. This is dumb. Right? It ain't right. What if that becomes a thing, though? What if Microsoft just starts publishing their games on PlayStation and they're selling 3, 4, 5 million copies while still just giving it to people on Game Pass on Xbox and PC, and then selling it to people on Steam who don't want to deal with Game Pass, and then putting it on Nintendo Switch somehow and selling the version of that to people? You know how much money Microsoft's gonna make? And here Sony is, oh, we're not putting Helldivers on Xbox. Why not? They had no problem dropping Sea of Thieves on your machine. and taking all of the win out of Rise of Ronin and Stellar Blade sales. Because if I remember correctly, that game was more pre-ordered. That 7-year-old ass game was more pre-ordered than Stellar Blade or Rise of Ronin was. That's a 7-year-old game. And really, now that I think about it, that was probably the test. That was a 7-year-old game that they've made better over time. And they stole the win out of two very hyped, one might say one of them was overhyped games. That's crazy. Like if Indiana Jones comes out and it's good, I don't see Indiana Jones setting the world on fire just because the IP is taking so much damage from its owners in recent years. But still, even with that being said, if it comes out and the word of mouth about it is that it's very good, whatever month it comes out in 2025, it's going to hurt something. Right? I see it hurting something. And because it's going to hurt something, it'll hurt something on PlayStation. It'll hurt something on PlayStation that Sony will have money had it, or something they, God forbid, actually made that was brand new. But it's going to hurt something, right? And it's just like that alone may not be Microsoft's penultimate plan, but it's definitely something that Sony is worried about. And Microsoft's biggest flaw, again, is that they've never won. They were never going to win anyway because of biases outside of North America. And despite how many cool things they own, they tend to be out of touch when it comes to how to execute things. There are so many things they do that just don't make any damn sense whatsoever. Especially in their games. There's a lot of games that they just outright abandoned. They don't deal with them anymore. Like, and even yesterday, I mentioned, they said I believe they're trying to find a developer for Banjo-Kazooie, but why didn't you just hand that to Double Fine? Why didn't you just hand that to what's the studio you just let go? Toys for Bob. Why didn't you just build a team that was willing to do that? Why don't you just hand it to the Yooka-Laylee team? I guarantee you they want to make that. You know what I'm saying? I can't even guarantee you they want to make it. Again, I don't work with those people. I don't know those people. But would it be far-fetched? I mean, those are ex-Rare guys. They literally, Yooka-Laylee is a Banjo-Kazooie game. So, I mean, at any rate, Microsoft has a lot of issues, but the idea of money, and again, this the morons, they're going to leave the console business, so they're going to leave, 70 to 80% of their Game Pass subscribers with no way to access the service that's doing really well. That's why they're not going to leave the console space, doofus. The one thing that Xbox is doing that's making the most money is the Game Pass service on the Xbox side anyway. Because I'm pretty sure Call of Duty, the publishing of Call of Duty, is going to make a ton of money for them, regardless. But the one thing Xbox themselves do very well is this Game Pass service. And most of the users, egregious amount of the users, are on console. Why would they dump consoles? But these people don't want to actually think and be analytical. They just want to say stupid shit because they're console war and they're grifters and they're weird and they have mental issues. Nintendo, I've talked about this before, they have a pattern, right? Success, failure, success, failure, success, failure. My biggest concern with the Switch 2 is, one, you're taking too damn long to announce it. when companies, speaking of ukulele, when companies are coming out and saying Nintendo platforms, because you won't just go ahead and say, yeah, this thing's coming. And it's funny, watch like tomorrow, they announce a direct where they're going to talk about the future of Nintendo next week or some shit, right? It'd be just my luck they do that. I better make sure I publish this tomorrow. But, and tomorrow will be October 25th. Actually, I gotta play Call of Duty in a minute. At any rate, like imagine Nintendo brings this thing out, and somehow, some way, it ends up failing. And again, this is another thing I spoke on before. Nintendo's fans apparently have confusion with naming conventions. Not to mention the fact that, I mean, now the Steam Deck exists and the Asus ROG Ally. And mind you, these aren't Nintendo platforms per se, right? But you can play Nintendo games on them. And a larger assortment of games even than what Nintendo has to offer. So would I be shocked if the new Nintendo device fails? No, I wouldn't be shocked because they find a way to have massive success and then shoot themselves in the foot. This is the Nintendo way. And I think right now what they're doing is, in waiting too damn long to go ahead and announce the new Nintendo device, they are potentially shooting themselves in the foot. If they let this year go by without telling people this thing's coming, I think they're in trouble. Because even the lineup of games that they're putting out is showing you that the well's going dry, kind of, right? And there's this idea out there that Nintendo is so big, and even I've fallen into that this notion of thinking that Nintendo's so big that they won't have to do what Sony and Microsoft does. Shit, I don't know. Like, the one thing I've noticed about the video game industry is that it is extremely volatile as far as the ebb and flow of it. Nintendo could screw up so bad with the launch and execution of putting out this device that if it doesn't hit the way it needs to hit, they may have to start publishing their stuff everywhere. I mean, you see, they already make cell phone games, and they're going through the trouble of doubling down on getting rid of emulators and all this stuff. Okay, so you're doing all of that, knowing that killing off emulators and groups who work on emulators is like cutting off the head of a regenerating snake. Another one's just gonna pop up. As soon as they killed off the first Switch emulator, it was another version that popped up. Then they just killed off that one. I'm pretty sure there's like 2 or 3 more sitting in the dark somewhere. Like, so you really can't stop that. And if you didn't put in the work on the security for this new one, people will be emulating on PC in a month. It'll be on Steam Deck in like 3 or 4 months. And Asus ROG Allies, well, that's just a Windows PC, so you get the point. But like, yeah, it's just like, if it's too easy to steal from, if it's not a good enough leap, if it doesn't launch with a good enough amount of games, it will fail. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you, and you guys know I've stated before, I don't like dealing with politics. But depending on, and I'm not gonna talk about which direction is gonna do it. But people who have any kind of political acumen will know which direction will do it. But depending on who wins this election, launching a new game console in 2025 will be a catastrophically stupid fucking idea. Launching a new game console, depending on, and just North America alone, right? Because I can't speak for other countries, but launching a new game console in 2025 could be a catastrophically stupid fucking idea depending on who wins this election. So, again, if anybody's capable of screwing up what should be a guaranteed success is Nintendo. And if that's the case, Nintendo will have to, like, put their games on other platforms, and particularly, I think, PC. And if like, here's the thing about this Phil Spencer guy, man. Motherfucker's not what he says he is, and it's not on some Xbox fanboy salt shit, right? This is on some just taking into account someone's character and the things they said and the things they've done and the things I've heard about them doing. So like during that whole ABK fiasco where they were like going through motherfuckers' emails and stuff like that, I recall a email that went out where he was talking about, yeah, I'm trying to buy Nintendo. It would be a big feather in the cap for retiring and saying that I can make a career out of it. And I remember thinking like, who the fuck is crazy enough to try and do something like that? And then the statement, something about the statement went on and said, oh yeah, I'm trying to get them to understand that the future of their games may not be completely locked to the idea that they come out on consoles they make. Or something around those lines, basically, they may need to go multi-platform, but they don't understand or see it yet. And Sony, there's a document that VG Fight School, I keep referencing that guy because, again, this is one of the only logical people I see on YouTube talking about this stuff, right? He pulls up this document quite often where Sony, and this is from the Insomniac leak, where Sony flat out says, yeah, when Microsoft buys Call of Duty, it is going to absolutely disrupt how the video game industry works. And it's happening already. And to think that Nintendo is somehow immune to it when, one, they, as far as how much money they made, last I checked, they were in third place. Microsoft was in second, just behind Sony. And with this Call of Duty dropping in the Game Pass, ain't no telling what those numbers going to look like next year. We'll see in a few months. But I don't think that Mario RPG game is going to push Nintendo over the edge as far as like making more money off software than Microsoft and Sony does. And truth be told, if you really want to get back down to brass tacks, Metroid ain't never been a strong seller. This is the game I believe they're going to launch this new console with. So depending on who wins the selection, you're talking about launching a new console probably somewhere in the spring of next year with a Metroid game that's probably only going to be single player. Maybe you'll put multiplayer in it, but it'll probably be single player. Might launch with a new Splatoon game, maybe a Mario Kart game, who knows, right? What if that don't work out? What if that don't work out? What are you going to do? Right? So, I know this conversation has kind of jumped all over the place, but I'm trying to tell you guys, man, look, nothing's safe. Nothing's sacred. If you think Microsoft's going to stop putting their games on PlayStation, well, show me the numbers that says that it's not working. They was able to sell a 7-year-old Xbox game to PlayStation guys, and they ate that shit up. I guarantee you, it's dudes on Call of Duty right now. I'm recording this. It's 8 minutes past midnight. October 25th. The ones that didn't move to New Zealand for a day are already on the game right now. PlayStation dudes, they spent $70 on that game. 70% of that, or 80%, according to Destin, went to Microsoft. You think Microsoft not going to put Elder Scrolls 6 on PlayStation? Matter of fact, the only reason they probably ain't put Starfield on there is kind of like to punish Sony for trying to make it exclusive and forcing them to buy Bethesda in the first place. This is a problem, man. When these dudes woke up and said, oh, wait a minute, we got billions of dollars to blow. Sony knew it was a fucking problem. That's why they wrote that little PDF that VG Fight Schools is always putting up. They wrote that document, that company-wide PDF document up because they knew they fucked up. That's why Jim Ryan was scrambling. They knew they had billions of dollars. Microsoft's always had billions of dollars to blow, but they actually started blowing it. Oh shit. And yeah, Sarah Bond, there's a video of Sarah Bond being flustered because somebody asked her a question about the council. She couldn't talk about it. And she was new in the position, and she probably wasn't ready to answer that question. But they already had to explain to her, once we spend 100 something billion dollars, because I'm pretty sure Bethesda cost like what, 7? All the other studios they bought cost several hundreds of millions of dollars. After they spent all that money, I'm pretty sure Satya Nadella was like, yeah, we're gonna have to start doing things different. Because we not outselling Sony, we not outselling Nintendo, we not getting consoles in houses like they are. So we gotta find a different approach. This is it. And everybody's gonna have to do it. Like this idea of a singular console, you'll still have consoles from different manufacturers. You'll just like you have different PCs from people. It's not gonna stop the creation of consoles, but this idea that, well, this game is only on this console, no, that's shit stupid. That's done. And it probably won't go in full fruition this generation. It probably won't even go into full fruition until halfway through next generation. But it's going to happen. Like, you think this new Spider-Man didn't get DLC for a reason? Look how it launched. Again, we touched on that yesterday. Look how that shit launched. You think Disney ain't like, yo, wait a minute. Last one sold how many millions of copies? Why is this shit only pushing 11? Spider-Man ain't less popular. Not the last time we counted the movie stub sales. So what the fuck is the problem? You need to put that everywhere. And after that last showing, the way that Spider-Man 2 came out, no DLC, performed like dog shit at launch, you've hurt the chances of the next one selling well. Because now even less people going to be like, man, I ain't fucking with that. That shit was trash the last time they brought it out. Bad games hurt a franchise reputation. That I will give anybody. I don't argue against that. A bad game or a game that people don't like in a franchise will hurt their franchise reputation. Spider-Man 2, that wasn't it. And you sit here and say it sold 11 million, but I'm pretty sure the first one sold more than that. Hell, I bought a PS5 Pro with the Spider-Man emblem on it to play the Spider-Man on PlayStation 1 or 4. 1, Jesus. But the place, yeah, I bought the PS4 Pro for that one. That's how big that game was. This shit ain't moving. This the fastest they never moved a quote unquote banger to PC. A year and 3 months. Word. So don't be surprised if there's a quote going around now that the Xbox grifters and some of the more logical people who want to make fun of ponies is throwing around Insomniac saying, oh yeah, this game will never be on PC. It's only going to be on PlayStation. That's a goddamn lie, clearly. Never say never with the video game industry, bro. Never say never. Anything can happen. Y'all need to respect that. You know that. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up because I'm trying to play some Call of Duty before I go to bed. 1 and 2. I'm trying not to make this video too long, but I will be hollering at you dudes soon. I'm going to try to cut it down to 20 minutes next time. Yeah, man. Like, comment, subscribe, share your thoughts, man. Tell me what you think, man. And I keep saying it because I keep seeing people fall for it, man. Stop listening to these cornballs, these lames, man. These weirdos, these council warriors. Bruh. Like, if it's parody shit, then I get it. If it's somebody who's doing it because, they're trolling, I totally get it. But, like, dudes who seriously get mad and cry and upset about this stuff and want to act like it's life or death that PlayStation or Xbox wins, it's like, bro, get them out of your life, bro. You don't need that kind of energy in life. That shit, them dudes is weird. They corny. They need help. And what they doing ain't it. It really ain't. At any rate, man, like, comment, subscribe, share the video.